Never before have the times demanded we elect courageous leaders as today, and that is why I'm proud to endorse Joe Kennedy for Senate. In 2018, when we took back the House, Joe campaigned across America to make that victory possible. He knows that to achieve progressive change, you must be on the front lines leading movements of people. Massachusetts and America need Joe Kennedy's courage and leadership in the Senate to fight for the change we need.
So that was Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House Pelosi, endorsing Joe Kennedy III over Ed Markey in the Democratic primary, the Senate primary in Massachusetts. And if you haven't been following that race, it's relatively close, with the incumbent progressive Senator Ed Markey on the one hand and the neoliberal aristocrat, plutocrat, noble family Kennedy challenger on the other. And Nancy Pelosi, who has always made such a big deal about not supporting people challenging Democratic incumbents, has just come out and supported someone challenging a Democratic incumbent. She didn't do it for all the really, really right-wing Democrats running for re-election against young, diverse progressives, but she's doing it here for a neoliberal ghoul from one of America's blue-blooded families. Absolute hypocrisy and absolute absurdity. But I want to be clear that not only is she endorsing Kennedy over Markey, but she's lying while doing so. First of all, she said these times demand bold progressive change, leadership from a progressive angle. She's right there, but Joe Kennedy is offering none of that. What progressive movement has Joe Kennedy led or even substantively been a part of? I'm waiting for an answer. In my own mind, I can't think of any. Maybe let me know if you can think of one. I have not heard it. But I do know this. I do know that Ed Markey has been one of the leaders, if not one of the key voices, in the fight for a Green New Deal. He, along with AOC, co-sponsored the Green New Deal legislation. He's been a longtime fighter for the combination of economic and environmental justice. And while, of course, everyone has slight disagreements about how to best achieve a Green New Deal, is it progressive enough? Is it bold enough? The fact of the matter is, Ed Markey is a progressive leader. He is a bold progressive needed at this time. Another argument Pelosi makes in that video, that she makes in that clip endorsing Kennedy, is that we need, the future of the party to step forward. And what she's saying there is, well, on the one hand, you have this 74-year-old senator from Massachusetts, and he's the old news. Now we have this young, vibrant guy, and we got to put the young, vibrant guy in. But the fact of the matter is that age alone does not determine the representation of the party's future. It might be a consideration. I don't think it's wrong to want, more young people in high office, but we have to remember that what represents the future of the party are politicians that actually have the support of young voters. That's far more significant from my perspective. And if you look at it, Markey has a strong lead over Kennedy among very young voters, because those people understand that the future of the party is progressive politics, about labor, about the environment, about healthcare. They want a left-wing party, not a faux progressive party, not a performative wokeism party, not a kente cloth wearing, fake supporting Black Lives Matter party, not a Nancy Pelosi party. They want a real progressive party. And it doesn't matter if it's brought to them by a 74-year-old guy from Massachusetts, or it's brought to them by somebody that's, in their 30s or in their 20s or in their 40s. What matters is, will they get the job done? And right now, the young people of Massachusetts, when they're polled, are lining up clearly behind Ed Markey. It's like with Bernie. Bernie got the most support among young people. Young people looked at Pete Buttigieg, who was under 40 when he was running for president, and they said, F that guy. That guy's a sham. That guy's a fraud. He doesn't give a darn about us, and we don't give a darn about him. We want the 77-year-old man from Vermont because he speaks to us, with us, and he works with us, and he will work with us if he's president. That's what they want. So spare me this BS that Joe Kennedy, because he's a younger guy, he's the outsider, he's the big change coming. F that noise. Joe Kennedy is a political aristocrat who is where he is because of his family name. Ed Markey is where he is because he has worked for the people of Massachusetts. Big difference. But let's also be very clear here. This might be the best endorsement for Ed Markey. Now, you might have thought I made a mistake there. She didn't endorse Ed Markey, but of course, there are certain people like Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton that see themselves as far more important and as far more influential and persuasive than they actually are. And a lot of people noted that Hillary Clinton endorsing Eliot Engel over Jamal Bowman in the New York primary, the congressional primary, a couple months ago now, that actually hurt Engel. That actually weakened him because a lot of people just don't really like Hillary Clinton all that much. They see her as a representation of what's wrong with the Democratic Party. And in my mind, Nancy Pelosi, who is consistently viewed very negatively by the public and often by Democratic, registered voters as well, endorsing Joe Kennedy sends the exact wrong message. That if Joe Kennedy wants to paint himself as an outsider going against an establishment figure, which again is a lie, but if you want to make that lie effective and persuasive, getting Nancy Pelosi to endorse you is the exact opposite thing you want to do. So again, Ed Markey represents progressive politics far better than Joe Kennedy. He's the author of the Green New Deal. He's a supporter of Medicare for All. He supports progressive politics. He's worked with people like AOC. He is the guy to carry forward the future bold progressive ideas of the Democratic Party, even if he's 74. Nancy Pelosi can lie all she wants, and I hope she does keep on lying, because the more I can tell people that Pelosi backs Kennedy, the more those people are going to run right over to Ed Markey.